For decades, Jehovah's Witnesses have organized their lives around two congregation meetings every week, one during the week and another on the weekend. But reports involving congregations in 3 countries, the United States, Canada, and Australia, suggest that a very different arrangement may already be under evaluation. According to these reports, selected congregations are testing only one meeting per week, combining essential elements of the midweek and weekend programs into a single gathering. There has been no worldwide announcement from the governing body. The official website still says that Jehovah's Witnesses meet twice each week, but that does not rule out a limited experiment. A pilot program is normally tested quietly before leaders decide whether to abandon it or introduce it on a larger scale. And this rumor does not exist in isolation. It follows years of shorter programs, merged meetings, congregation consolidations, centralized videos, and digital instruction. None of this proves that a worldwide change has been approved, but it raises a serious question. Is the organization quietly testing its biggest change to congregation life since 2009? In this video, we will examine why the report is historically believable, how one weekly meeting could strengthen financial and editorial control, and why giving members another free evening could create an unexpected danger for the organization itself. If you appreciate respectful investigations into the decisions shaping the lives of Jehovah's Witnesses, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments whether you have heard anything about this test in your area. Part 1. This would not be the first reduction. To understand why this report sounds credible, we need to remember that the meeting schedule has never been permanent. For many years, Jehovah's Witnesses gathered on 3 different occasions each week. There was the congregation book study, frequently conducted in private homes, the theocratic ministry school and service meeting, and the weekend public talk and Watchtower study. This changed in January 2009. The separate book study was renamed the Congregation Bible Study and incorporated into the weekday program. 3 weekly meeting occasions became 2. The organization explained that this would help families facing economic pressures and provide an evening for family worship. For many witnesses, it was genuinely helpful. But the same decision also simplified the schedule and reduced the number of separate gatherings that had to be organized and supervised. That history established an important precedent. The current 2-meeting structure is not an unchangeable biblical command. It is an administrative arrangement, and administrative arrangements can be modified whenever the leadership believes circumstances require it. Other changes followed. In 2016, the weekday program was reorganized into the Christian Life and Ministry meeting. The weekend public talk was shortened from 45 minutes to 30. Assemblies and conventions also became shorter, while centrally produced videos gained a much larger role. The overall direction is clear: fewer separate gatherings, shorter programs, more standardization, and greater use of material produced by headquarters. This does not confirm the new rumor, but it makes the proposed change historically believable. If the organization reduced 3 meeting occasions to 2, it could eventually reduce 2 to 1. According to the reports, only selected congregations are involved. That is exactly how a pilot would probably operate. Headquarters could compare attendance, participation, volunteer workload, family reactions, and meeting duration under the experimental format. If the results were negative, the test could quietly end. If they were positive, the organization would possess the information necessary to introduce the arrangement elsewhere. But why would one meeting per week be attractive enough to justify such a major change? The answer may involve buildings, expenses, and control over the message. Part 2. Follow the buildings and the message. Imagine a kingdom hall used by 3 congregations. Each congregation requires a weekday evening and a weekend meeting period. Now imagine that every congregation meets only once each week. The same auditorium would suddenly have many more available time slots. More congregations could share one building, fewer properties would be required, and the organization could consolidate facilities without necessarily eliminating every congregation. No verified document says that selling kingdom halls is the purpose of the alleged experiment, but it would be an obvious financial consequence. Members often experience their kingdom hall as a local property because they donate money, clean it, maintain it, and may even have helped construct it. Over the years, however, decisions involving construction, financing, congregation assignments, and the use of kingdom halls have become increasingly coordinated by branch-level administration. The financing system changed significantly in 2014. The previous system of individual Kingdom Hall loans was replaced by an arrangement in which congregations contributed to the worldwide work, while branches coordinated the financing of new construction projects. This gives the organization the ability to evaluate an entire region and determine how many congregations can use the available buildings. Under a one-meeting schedule, remaining kingdom halls could accommodate more congregations, while properties considered unnecessary could potentially be sold. Every building also carries expenses: electricity, water, maintenance, insurance, repairs, and security. Therefore, one meeting could create substantial long-term savings. The official explanation, if this change ever happens, may focus on families, and those benefits would be real. Publishers would spend less on transportation, experience fewer rushed evenings after work, and have more time with their children. Elderly witnesses would travel at night less frequently. Elders and ministerial servants could receive even greater relief. They do not simply attend meetings. They prepare assignments, organize participants, operate equipment, coordinate congregation responsibilities, and frequently arrive early and leave late. In congregations with few appointed men, maintaining 2 weekly programs can produce genuine exhaustion. A reduction could therefore be presented as a loving provision for overburdened families and volunteers. But this is where the investigative question begins. Could a genuine act of relief also solve an administrative and financial problem? The two explanations do not necessarily exclude each other. A decision can benefit members while simultaneously benefiting the institution. And property efficiency may not be the greatest advantage. One weekly meeting could also make it easier for headquarters to control exactly what every congregation hears. JW broadcasting, video demonstrations, interviews, original songs, trailers, and Bible dramas now occupy a major place in the spiritual routine of Jehovah's Witnesses. Instruction that once depended mainly on local speakers increasingly comes directly from headquarters. With local talks, speakers differ in emphasis, personality, examples, and delivery. But a centrally produced video presents exactly the same words, images, music, and emotional message in every congregation. One highly structured weekly program could reduce local variation even further. It would be easier to standardize, translate, supervise, and update. Witnesses in different countries could receive almost identical instruction through the same carefully produced content. Some observers have connected this possibility with the broader digital category, weekly meetings. That terminology is not proof because similar expressions have been used before. Its importance is that the present digital system could easily accommodate a new format. The videos are already centralized. The programs are already standardized. The workbooks are already distributed digitally. Every technical element required for one weekly meeting already exists, but this efficiency could create a serious problem. If members spend less time within the congregation's weekly routine, what will they do with the time returned to them? Part 3. The risk of giving members their time back for Jehovah's Witnesses. The weekly commitment extends far beyond the hours inside a kingdom hall. There is personal preparation, family preparation, transportation, association, field service, assignments, maintenance, and additional responsibilities carried by appointed men. 2 meetings create a continuous rhythm. A witness attends on the weekend, prepares for the weekday program, attends again, and soon begins preparing for the next weekend. The congregation remains present throughout the week. Reducing the schedule to one meeting could weaken that rhythm. The pandemic provided an unexpected example. Meetings continued through video conferencing, but members suddenly spent less time traveling and preparing for physical gatherings. Some developed a greater appreciation for in-person association. Others realized how exhausted they had previously been, or began reconsidering their relationship with the organization. It would be inaccurate to claim that additional free time alone caused people to leave. Religious disengagement is complicated, but the pandemic demonstrated that when a deeply established routine is interrupted, not everyone returns to it in the same way. That may be the greatest risk of one meeting per week. The organization could save resources, reduce exhaustion, and make members grateful for the relief. But it would also surrender one of its 2 regular moments of physical contact with them. There is also the question of what would be removed. Combining both programs without creating an extremely long meeting would be impossible. Would the public talk become shorter? Would the Watchtower study lose time? Would student assignments be reduced? Would the congregation Bible study disappear? Would more local sections be replaced by videos? Each possibility reveals a priority. Student assignments train members to speak. The Watchtower study reinforces doctrinal unity. The congregation Bible study examines organizational publications. The public talk is partly designed for visitors. A pilot program would therefore test more than a schedule. It would test which elements can be shortened or removed without weakening organizational loyalty. Many witnesses would probably welcome the change. Publishers exhausted by work, commuting, family responsibilities, and congregation assignments might see it as evidence that the governing body understands their circumstances. That is what makes this potential decision so effective. The organization could give members something they genuinely want: more time and less exhaustion, while obtaining something it may need: fewer operating demands, greater use of each property, and tighter control over the weekly message. The same policy could strengthen appreciation for the organization while reducing the physical congregation contact that helps maintain loyalty. The governing body would have to determine which effect is stronger. So, are Jehovah's Witnesses definitely moving to one meeting per week? At this moment, that conclusion goes beyond the public evidence. The official arrangement remains 2 meetings, and no worldwide announcement has been released. But dismissing the entire subject as an impossible rumor would also ignore the broader picture. Reports of a pilot have circulated. The organization has previously reduced 3 meeting occasions to 2. Programs have become shorter and more centralized. Digital videos now perform functions once handled almost entirely by local speakers. Congregations already share kingdom halls, and one meeting would make property consolidation significantly easier. Every part of the system required for this change already exists. What remains unknown is whether leaders are discussing the idea, conducting a limited experiment, or preparing for a future announcement. A pilot can be real without ever becoming permanent. Organizations conduct tests precisely because they do not yet know whether an idea will work. But perhaps the most revealing question is not whether the rumor will be confirmed. It is why it sounds so believable. 20 years ago, eliminating another congregation meeting might have appeared unthinkable. Today, after years of consolidation, digitalization, shorter programs, and centralized instruction, it feels like a logical next step. If one weekly meeting is introduced, the official explanation will probably emphasize family needs, economic pressure, personal study, and efficient use of resources, similar to the explanation given in 2009. Critics, however, will ask whether property consolidation, declining attendance, volunteer shortages, and institutional efficiency also influence the decision. The truth may involve several of these factors at the same time. Now I want to hear from you. Have you heard about congregations testing 1 meeting per week? Would this make life easier for publishers? Or would it weaken their connection with the congregation? And if the organization announced this tomorrow, what reason do you believe it would give publicly? Leave your opinion in the comments. Because if this pilot is real, it is testing far more than a new schedule. It is testing how much of the organization's influence depends upon controlling not only what members believe, but also how they spend their time.